Sure. Coach King, 2 games down, 2 more to go against the Chicago Wolves. We've talked with a little bit about with Cody and with Dylan about how this is a mini playoff series against the best team in the Central Division. For you, how much are you using that as kind of a measuring stick for yourself and the progression of your club and how they are improving on a game-to-game basis and doing so against the number 1 team in the division?
Yeah, well, it's good for us to, when you play these teams, like especially you play them in a 4 in a row like we are, we get a good read on where we are as a team, like you said. It's nice to see us competing now, staying in the games, not getting blown out by a good hockey team. I think we deserved a little better fate last game. I thought we played really well, good enough to win, and I think we deserved a little better. But it was nice to see the compete for 3 periods. Like I said, that's a good hockey team, and when you can hold them or take them to as long as we did as close a game, we're doing some good things.
And speaking of close games, pretty much the entire head-to-head series has been close. 3 to 5 games, all decided by a single goal. What does that say about the progression of your team and being able to compete and stay in contest compared to what we might have seen back in February when going down early might, you said, spawn or have the snowball roll the wrong direction?
Exactly. Well, I think they're buying into what we're trying to preach here. How the proper way to play the game. We're not cheating the game as much. I mean, before it's a lot of new faces, new bodies when they start the year, getting comfortable with each other, getting to trust each other a little better. And I think they're becoming more of a team now. So with that, when you get all those little details of whether it's a team detail or even on the ice stuff, good things are going to happen. And I like where we're at.
Jay Taft, your line is active.
Hey, Coach. A week or 2 ago, you said you did not think you guys would ever break out for a 6-goal game or whatever.
Yeah.
You getting a little bit of a surge here? Is it just the difference in personnel? Is it maybe a little bit more development further down you get, the better you get? Or what is it right now for this team that's clicking offensively?
Well, I think it's, we've had more time for development, more skills, more practice time too. But I will say that when we get those guys from the taxi squad coming down to play some games, it helps. It'll help any lineup. Those are some good hockey players that we had here last year. They've all matured. And you can see where their game has gone from spending 1 year with us in the minors and doing all the right things, all the skill stuff and having the practice time. So it's paid off for them, and I'm hoping it's going to pay off for our guys now. And I think it's starting to, pay off for them already. So it's a nice sign.
Is it a pretty fair balance in that how tough it is to have guys coming back and forth and build that chemistry and just get everybody knowing each other? Is that kind of balanced out with just getting better talent that comes in here?
Yeah, I think it's balanced out. To your point, I think everybody's comfortable where they're at. They know what they need to do. And then when we do have those so-called better players come down from the taxi squad to play some hockey, the guys are comfortable enough and they gel enough as a team with those guys in the lineup. I think the fact is that those guys were with us last year, most of them, and they know how we operate and how they have to play, and they actually drag those other guys along with them. They see that, like, there's guys that are up, played some NHL games, playing in the taxi squad. They're doing all the little detailed stuff we've been talking about all year. So it must work. So that they've bought in, and it's, and it goes back to what we talked about. If you have enough vets on your team to lead the way, we don't have to coach. We just throw out the game plan and hopefully they follow, right? So I think that's what's working.
Scott Leber, your line is active, sir.
Hi, Coach. As we approach April, typically we'd be thinking playoffs right now and making that playoff push or going for a higher seed. With the uncertainty surrounding the playoffs, there may not be any. How much do you miss that adrenaline rush right now that goes with this time of the year where you are thinking playoffs, where you are trying to make that final push? How much do you miss that?
It's a rush. It's fun. It's seeing these guys, and that kind of atmosphere really helps these kids. Fighting your playoffs start early, and we've talked about this last year where I felt our playoffs started like a month before the season was even over. We needed to play playoff type hockey to get in. And I would have loved to seen how we finished the season. I believe the way we were playing, we had a real good shot of getting into playoffs, and then who knows what kind of damage you can do. But right now, I think we're kind of in that playoff atmosphere, especially when you're playing against, like Joey said, 4-game series against the Wolves here. I mean, it's playoff atmosphere. It's a bit of a grind each game, and it's good for our players to get a taste of that.
Understand there might be some meetings coming up with the AHL higher ups where the topic of playoffs might come up and whether or not they would go forward or not go forward with them. What would you say to those people about the importance of the playoffs and what it means, how valuable it is? Could you make a case to them to say, this is why we should or shouldn't have the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, the playoffs are important. I think this is crazy, how we're doing this. It's expensive. Cost-wise, I don't think playoffs make sense. It's just going to bring cost these kids playing. They got to pay out of pocket for the extra weeks, whether it's living expenses, and then just the everyday cost of running a hockey team is an expense. So, I mean, hey, in a perfect world, playoffs would be great, but I think as this year, the way things have gone, I think I don't think it's beneficial for these kids right now and for everybody to just keep hanging on and making up games. So we've played these teams enough. I don't think we need to play them another 7-game series so I think we're getting our series playoff stuff in right now.
Thank you.
Yep.
Brandon Kane, your line is active.
Hey, Derek. Evan has a 3-game point streak. What have you seen from his play lately that has caused that offensive production to increase?
Well, I just think he's just working when he doesn't have the puck. I think that's a lot of problems with a lot of guys. It's not a problem. It's just more things you have to learn. When you don't have the puck, you have to work just as hard to get it back, or you have to work just as hard to survive a shift. I think he's doing a great job of working when he doesn't have the puck. And that's allowing him, when they get the puck back, they're on offense right away. And he actually has the puck a lot more than he has over the course of the season, the start of the year. He's doing all these little detailed stuff we talk about from day one now. And I think, like I said earlier, this is what our team is doing much better, is we're playing the game right. We're not cheating it. And that's what he's doing. And it shows.
So it was a weekend and then another weekend, and you had Wyatt Kalnick back in the lineup. Are you seeing like week-to-week progression with him, or is it just the same kind of fine, crisp passes out of the D zone?
Yeah, I think he's an NHL hockey player. He's going to be a full-time NHL hockey player at some point. In a perfect world, full season here, or even a half season here would help, obviously. But it's not perfect right now. So getting him down here to play some games is a smart move. But you can see when he plays his games, the way he skates, the way he handles the puck, controls the play. I mean, he's ready for the NHL. So, I'd love to have him for a full year. Selfishly, I'd love to have all those guys, but it's time for them to leave and let them get a taste of the NHL. So it'd be interesting to see if Wyatt's going to get a game in here anytime soon, because I think it'll do him justice if he gets to play.
Jay Taft, your line is active.
Coach, just to go back on something real quick and not to beat it to death, but the playoff thing. I know I've heard Jeremy say it multiple times, and you as well, just how important seeing how these players handle the pressure and handle the hitting the fan in the playoff stretch and in the playoffs, especially in the playoffs. So really, it sounds like, though, you don't feel it's all that big a deal to push for this year, but isn't it key in that development phase for these guys?
Well, yeah, it is. I think it's huge for these players to witness that playoff push, or even just getting into playoffs, and then the pressures of playing in the playoff. The reason I say it's not, I don't think it's important this year because we play these teams so many times. You have your little mini series and they turn out to be playoff type atmospheres where, you know, you play Chicago, the Wolves 4 times, we got a little, you know, hatred for each other. So it's almost like the playoffs, you know. Now we got to go back there Saturday and play them again in their building. So, you know, who's going to be ready for that game? And it's a challenge for us to be prepared and start on time and absorb what they're going to bring to us because they're going to come out flying. They're at home and they're going to be buzzing, and they're probably, you know, not happy the way how we can control a lot of that last game. So there's your playoff atmosphere right there. You play Iowa how many times? You play all these teams, Grand Rapids. You know, that there's the playoffs. That's why I'm only saying that. I don't think we need to play extra playoff games against Chicago Wolves again. We don't need to get a series against them at the end of the season just to drag it on. We're getting it right now.
Are you trying to critique them a little bit differently in a game like this to see how they would have handled the pressure if this was a mini playoff?
Yeah,
series?
well, we approached it before we started the 4-game series with them. Our staff approached it as if this is a little mini playoff series. You know, there's hatred there. There's always been hatred. I guess any team that plays the Wolves hates them because they're always a good team. But this is our chance to rise to the occasion. Okay, we lost one game. We should have probably won the second game, but now we got to go into their building and win a hockey game. And this is the big test for these kids. And right now, I feel that we're on the right track, and I'm looking forward to getting this game going on Saturday and see how we react.
Thanks, Coach.